over your memory scripture of the week. Can you pick it up? Can you pick it up? Yeah. All right. So you remember, everybody has the same memory scripture now. So it comes out of the book of Proverbs, chapter 10, verse 1. It says, a wise son makes makes a glad father, but a foolish son is the grief of his mother. Proverbs 10:1. Again, a wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish son is the grief of his mother. Yes, Proverbs 10:1. So that's your memory scripture for this week. So yeah, go ahead and make sure to study, practice, so that you're ready for the test on Friday. All right, so this week in Bible, we're moving on to our next lesson, which was on Joshua. Remember, Moses has died. He led the Hebrews up until they got to the border of the promised land. But remember, Moses could not go into the promised land, remember, because of him striking the rock when God told him to speak to the rock. He could not go into the promised land. So therefore, the Lord, Moses died, but God chose the next leader, which we know is Joshua. And so Joshua will be the one to lead the people into the promised land and lead them into, conquering their land. So I told you, though, it wasn't just going to be easy for them to go into the land, right? Remember, there's other people that live inside of the land. So they have to remove those people first, in order to get the people, out of the land so that they could take the land as their own. God did not want any of the other nations that were living in the land. God did not want those people there anymore. So he told his people, he says, I want you to remove everyone out of the land and you will take the land as your own. That's why I remember the first time they didn't go, because they were scared of the people. That's why they were scared, because they knew they had to remove the people. But I told you that the generation now is not like their parents. Their parents were scared and doubted God and complained all the time, but they're not like that. They trust God and they're going to do it. So Joshua, the Lord appoints Joshua as the leader of the people now. And the Lord tells Joshua that he will lead the people into the promised land, that they will cross over into the promised land because of Joshua, because of his leadership. God will allow Joshua to be the one to lead the people into the promised land. So Joshua probably had some type of doubt, but the Lord spoke to Joshua and told him, he says, be courageous. The Lord said, I'm with you. Just like I was with Moses, I'm going to be with you, Joshua. It's no different. The way that I did things through Moses, I will do the same thing through you. It's just important for Joshua to trust in God and to believe God that he can still do the same thing that Moses did, right? God is not a respecter of persons, right? He doesn't, do for one and does not do for another. No, God will do the same thing, if you trust him enough. And so, he does things different, but you know what I'm saying, overall. Anyway, so the Lord had told Joshua that the first thing him and the people would have to do was they would have to conquer their first city. The Lord told them that they would have to cross over into the Jordan and they would come across the first city, which was the city of Jericho. Now, if you remember, Jericho had walls. That's what made Jericho a little difficult to conquer, because of the fact that it had walls that was surrounding the city. Now, walls surrounding a city, you can't just get inside the city any kind of way, right? You had to go through the gates of the city, because you couldn't climb over the wall. They would see you. And they also had people that would sit on top of the wall that also could see, like, if anybody was trying to come attack from far away. So the people knew, Joshua knew this would not be an easy city to defeat. It wouldn't be just a quick battle like, oh, let's go ahead and get it over with. He knew that it would take some time for them to conquer the city of Jericho, that it wouldn't be an easy task. So Joshua wanted to know what was going on inside of the city. And so if you remember, I told you yesterday, he decided to send 2 spies to go inside of the city to kind of spy it out and see what's going on before they went in to conquer the city. So Joshua sent the 2 spies to go out and to spy, the city, to kind of check it out. and then they would come back with their report. And so Joshua told the people, he says, when the spies come back, he says, we will go into the land. We will do what we have to do because we know that God is with us. We're going to take our land. And the people are like, okay. They're not complaining. They are not, like, no, Joshua, we're too scared. Look at the walls. Look at how high those walls are. None of that. They were excited to go and take their city. To conquer the city. They were ready to take their land. So I told you yesterday, we see how much different they are than their parents, right? We really see they are more courageous, more bold, have more faith in God than their parents did. So the two spies crossed over the Jordan and entered into the gates of the city of Jericho. So when they get into the city, they see that there's houses on the walls as well. They didn't realize also how thick the walls were. So when they get inside the city, they see the walls up close and they're like, man, these are thick walls, which means those walls wouldn't come down easy, right? They couldn't just maybe push it hard and it will fall. No, these were some thick, solid walls. And not just that, but there were houses inside of the walls. So that's how thick they were. They were able to build houses inside of the actual wall. So they knew that this city was well fortified, meaning it was a solid city. It wasn't going to be easy to just knock the walls down or to, come in that easy. No, that they knew that those walls were pretty strong. The city was also filled with many people. A lot of them lived inside of the wall. So the spies knew they had to be very careful to not let anyone know that they weren't from Jericho. Because if the people saw them and they were like, who are y'all? Where are y'all from? Why are you here? That would mess up their whole plan, right? They're here to spy out the city. So they have to make sure that they move with wisdom, that they, don't show that they're visitors coming to conquer their land. So they had to secretly, spy out the city. They quickly moved in and out among the people, and they made their way up on the wall to see just how thick they were. So as they're checking out and inspecting the walls, they come across a house of a woman. Her name was Rahab, and she lived in the city of Jericho. She was a very friendly woman, and she invited them to come over to her home. So that was nice of her, right? She invited them to come in. She knew they weren't from there. And so she invited them to come over. So someone, though, saw the two men and they said, who are those men? So that person, whoever, when they seen the spies go into Rahab's home, they went and told the king. They told the king, they said, there's two men from the Israelite camp who have come to spy out our city. So the king knew that if the men went back to the camp, the Israelite camp, back to Joshua, he knew that they would tell Joshua everything that they saw inside of the city. So the king was like, find them immediately and arrest them. Take them and arrest them. Because the king knew when he realized that the Israelites were here to spy out his land, he knew that they were planning something. So the king tells his soldiers, he says, find them. They are in the home of Rahab. Find them, arrest them. Okay? And that's what the spies was trying to avoid. They were trying to avoid being, found. But instead, they were. So they're in the home of Rahab, and Rahab hears the spies. She hears the soldiers. She finds out that the soldiers are coming to get the spies, and so she tells the spies, she says, you need to hide. She says, you need to hide. The soldiers are here to come and get you. So she told them to go to the roof. Go to the roof. So the two spies climb up a ladder. They climb on top of the roof, and Rahab tells them, lie down quickly, and she covered them with let's say hay. She covered them so they wouldn't see them. Now, Rahab doesn't even know the spies. She's, none of that, but she's doing all of that for them, right? She could have turned them into the king and said, oh, they're over here. Come and get them. But instead, she decides to protect the spies and to save them. Why do you think Rahab would do that? She doesn't even know them. Plus, they're actually here to destroy her city, and she's helping them out. So that's weird. That's strange that Rahab would help out these men, hiding them from the soldiers, not telling the soldiers where they were. Why would she do that? Why would she help these Israelite men out? So when the king's men, the soldiers, came to the door, They said, you have to surrender those men who have come here. We've seen them come inside of your home, Rahab. You have to surrender these men to us. They are spies, and they were sent here to find a way to attack us. And Rahab said, it is true. The men were here earlier, but they're gone now. They left. I don't know where they went. They came, yes, they did come earlier, but they're not here anymore. She was like, before the gates of the city were closed, they left, and I don't know where they went. Now, she is protecting them, but she's also telling them what? A lie, right? She's also lying as well. So she, she's trying to protect them, but she's telling a lie. And so, but is it a good lie? No, yes? What you think? She's protecting them though. Yes. There's no such thing as a good lie. We don't lie at all, even if we feel like, but I'm lying for a good reason. We have to, not lie. Remember that's a command. We talked about that. We don't lie. But Rahab lies, and she says she doesn't know where they went, even though she does know where they went. She says, I don't know where they went, but she was just trying to protect them. That's what she was doing. But, yeah. So yeah. So the king's soldiers, without searching the house. So they didn't even go and search the house, right? They just believed her. They were like, okay. And so they left and they went towards the city gate trying to find the spies. So Rahab protected the spies, right? Like I said, she could have told the king's soldiers where they were. She could have said, oh, they're on the roof. I just went hide them on the roof. But she didn't. Instead, she protected them. Not just that, but when they came and, they came to her directly, she's like, no, I don't know where they went at all. She lied to protect them as well. So Rahab is doing all of this, right? And she doesn't even know them. She doesn't even know them, but we'll get to in a second why she did that, because she actually did know something. So after the soldiers left, they went, trying to find the men, thinking that the men were, where they weren't. But Rahab went on the roof to get the two spies. And so she told them, so she says, listen, I know that your God is going to give your people my city. So that's why Rahab was helping them, because she knew some way, somehow, she knew what was about to happen. She knew that the city of Jericho was about to be destroyed and that the city would be given to the Hebrews. She knew this. And so that's why she's like, I know what your God is about to do. She says, everybody's afraid of you. We have all heard about your God and what he's done, how he dried up the sea for you, how he gave you the power to destroy the Amalekites, and all kind of other things that had happened. She says, we heard about all of it. We know how much your God is with you. So that's why Rahab helped them. When she saw the Israelites, she knew exactly who their God was. She knew that their God was the God who defeated the Egyptian army, right? Remember when God closed the sea on them, they didn't even have to fight the Egyptians. God did it. She says, I know that. Everybody knows, actually. So that's why I'm helping you out, because I know what your God can do. Now that's smarter, Rahab, right? Unlike Pharaoh, remember when he saw all what God was doing with the plagues? Instead of surrendering to the Lord, what did Pharaoh do? He kept fighting against God, right? He kept saying, nope, not going to listen to God, not going to do what he wants. Pharaoh instead chose to disobey God, and we see how that ended for Pharaoh. But Rahab, she hears about the Israelite God. She hears about all that he's done, how powerful of a God he is, how he gives his people victory. And she's like, I'm not going to be foolish like everybody else. Instead, I am going to trust that, whatever your God is going to do, that whatever your God is going to do, that I want to be safe too. She was like, I heard about your God. So that's amazing, right? They hear about the power of the Lord. The people know exactly what God can do. So she says, I want to know and believe your God, and I want to know if he's the true God of heaven and earth. And so Rahab, she was not a godly woman at all. But when she heard about their God, she's like, I want to know your God. Like, I heard how great of a God he is, and I'm interested in that. She says, I believe that your God is the true God, and our gods are fake. Our gods are not real gods. They've never done anything like your God has done. And so because of that, that's why I wanted to protect you. She says, when you come and take over my city, because I know your God will give you the victory over my city. She says, can you keep me safe? Can you protect me and my family? Please, can you make sure that we are safe from all the destruction that you're going to do to the city? Can you make sure that we will be okay? And so that was smart of Rahab, right? She's making a plan. She's like, look, I protected y'all. I kept you safe. I know what your God can do. So because of that, when you come to take over the city, protect me and my family. Protect me and my family. Is that fair? Yeah, it is. She helped them, so they should help her, right? And so the two spies promised, they said, yes, Rahab, because you've helped us, you kept us safe, we will protect you. They said, if you will not betray us and let us escape freely, we will see that none of your family is harmed when we come to take the city of Jericho. And so Rahab told the spies that since her house was on top of the city wall, she could help them escape out the window, and cross over the wall. So she would help them climb to the top and, climb, because they couldn't go through the gates. They would see them, right? They would see them and capture them. So she says, I can help you climb over the wall and get out of the city. And so the two spies told her that when we come back to take Jericho, we will not be responsible what happens to you unless they told her, they said, these are your instructions, Rahab, so that you'll be safe whenever we come to take over the city. They said, take a scarlet rope, which is a red rope, and hang it outside your window. When you hang it outside your window, we will know not to touch that home. Whenever we come to take over the city, they will know when they see that red rope outside of your home, they will know not to come inside. Kind of reminds us of the Passover, right? Remember they put the blood on the doorpost and the angel passed over? Yeah, kind of the same thing. She has to put the red rope outside of her home. And when they see the red rope, they'll know, okay, we got to protect this family. We won't harm this family because this is where Rahab, the one who protected us, this is where she is. And so Rahab said, okay, I will do that. So she helps them escape. She brings them to the top of the wall and she helps them climb over and cross over to go back. So Rahab was smart. She was a wise woman, right? She knew what to do. She protected them so that she would be protected. She had heard about their God and all that their God can do. And she was like, I'm not going to be foolish and try to fight against your God. No, I'm going to trust that your God will give you the victory. And so because I know your God will give you the victory, let me help you out so that you can help me out. So that was wise of her, very wise of her to do that so that she would be safe from the coming, destruction of the city of Jericho. And so that was really, really smart of her. So Rahab helps out the spies, and in turn, she's going to be helped out whenever they do act, because they will conquer the city, and we're going to see what happens for her. She has to follow the instructions, though, right? With the red rope. So Rahab was smart in helping them out and protecting them, and now she'll be safe whenever the time comes. So you see, the people all the cities, they know about the God of the Hebrews, the God of the Israelites. Everyone heard about the Lord and they knew what God was doing for his people. They knew how much he was giving them victory after victory over this nation, over that nation. And so they heard about it and they knew. So they were really scared. People were really scared of the God of the Israelites. And that's an amazing thing, we don't want people to be afraid of us, but we want people to be afraid of what our God can do, right? We want people to know that, look, we may have limited strength, but we serve a God that has all strength, all power, all control. He can do whatever he wants to do. And when people see that, they'll know you can't just treat us any kind of way or do any type of thing to us because of our God that is on our side. And like I said, Rahab, she knew. And so it was smart of her to help them out and to want God herself, want to know their God herself. Okay, so tomorrow's lesson, we will go further into this because they will actually go and take the city of Jericho. But remember, the city of Jericho has walls, right? So it's not like it's just like, oh, well, let's just go and invade the city. No, it's not that easy. It's not that easy at all. but God will give them a battle plan, right? To conquer the city of Jericho. God led them there. So of course he's going to give them the victory. He's not going to lead them there so that they can be defeated, right? So that's what we'll get into on tomorrow about with Joshua actually leading the people and what plan God will give them to conquer the city of Jericho. It's going to be different than what you're thinking if you don't know the list. Okay. All right, awesome. All right, so that's our lesson today, guys, on Rahab and how she protected the spies and how she kept them safe from, receiving any type of harm from the king or from anyone. Okay? Amen? Amen. Awesome.